Very good. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of council of March 4th. It's 7 p.m. So we'll call the meeting to order. And council, any concerns about our agenda in terms of conflicts? Not. I will entertain a motion, please, to adopt as presented. Thank you, and seconded. All in favor? Carried. And it's my pleasure to announce that Purple Day is celebrated on March 26th annually during Epilepsy Awareness Month to increase the knowledge and understanding of epilepsy in the community. The rest of the proclamation is in our agenda package and will be presented to the Epilepsy Society. So I am proud and honored to proclaim March 26th, 2026 as Purple Day in the District of Sechelt. Council, we can then move to item 5.1, and we have the report from Mr. Hall on 6075 Silverstone Lane. And I guess that's Mr. Allen. Oh no, Mr. Hall just suddenly appears. Great. So, Mr. Hall, anything to add to your report? Any color commentary?
Nothing in particular, just to reiterate, we've had a number of things going on here. There's the development permit area that applies. So there's a development permit required for the building and related structures. But because there's a setback from the water in the zoning bylaw and they're encroaching within that requires the variance. If that setback wasn't there, then we'd just be dealing with the development permit to address the encroachment. So as noted in the report, the geotechnical, environmental, and other assessments are all okay. Like everything's sort of supportive of the proposed encroachments that meets the objectives and guidelines of the DP areas. So what we're really just dealing with here is a reduction to the 15-meter setback from the natural boundary in the zoning bylaw. And it's kind of laid out for the different portions of the structure as noted in the report. And there's sort of no issues on the development permit side, so staff are recommending that the variance be approved.
Terrific, thank you. Councillor Shepherd.
Thanks through the chair. I'm generally in favor of this. I'm just wondering if I could direct a question to Mr. Hall. There seems to be only one neighbor who is concerned about the original plan, and it looks like there was some back and forth with the neighbor who had written in and an adjustment to the plan. Is that correct?
Please.
Yes, that's correct. Originally, there was a much larger wall type structure extending into the setback area along that neighboring property boundary. And then before they submitted their actual application, the applicants changed their plans, but they had previously talked to their neighbors. So that's where sort of that original idea of like, hey, this was part of a proposal, but it's no longer the case. So that was where I wanted to include the back and forth in the submission in the report. So it was clear that we kind of like, they had concerns. The proposal had changed since that time. I clarified that with them. So they were less concerned with the proposed encroachments as they were amended from their original idea.
Great, thanks. And no other concerns from any other neighbors?
No.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Maybe if I could just pick up on that. This is kind of unusual because I think we generally go 100 meters or so on neighbors, but I believe I'm right that Silverstone is a strata. So is our policy in a case like this, would we have asked the strata to council to provide their comments?
No, not directly. We would just still do our standard mail out. So just capturing properties within 100 meters, regardless of whether strata or non-strata, but we didn't reach out. And it's not in the notification requirements to reach out directly to a strata.
Okay, thank you. Interesting, might be something for us to think about in the future, but I'm sure this strata, or the owners all know about it. Anything else, council? Not, I'd entertain a motion. Sorry, Councillor Rowe.
Yeah, I'll move the recommendation that development permit or variance permit 2025-09 be approved.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Seconded? Any other questions, discussion? Okay, I'll call all in favor. Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Council, then we go to the 2026 parcel tax roll review. The reason everybody's in the meeting tonight. One bit of practical matter. I've recently learned that I'm likely out of town on March 26th. So I would encourage another member of council to volunteer for this very burdensome role. And it is a Thursday. Councillor Toth.
Not volunteering, just Thursdays, SCRD
Yeah,
days, so
that's exactly.
Councillor Inkster and I are otherwise engaged.
Councillor Shepherd.
Absolutely happy to volunteer.
Thank you. So with your indulgence, can I suggest that in place of Mayor Henderson, we replace that with Councillor Shepherd throughout the motion? Is that all right? Second. Okay. So that's a motion, yeah, a new motion. So on our part, that not as written, but the motion is that Councillor Shepherd, Councillor Rowe, Councillor McLaughlin, and then number 2, that Councillor Shepherd be chair and that the meeting be held on March 26th. Please.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody stepped up. Just a question, process question. If in fact we didn't have enough council members to be there, would staff be able to move it to earlier in the day as an example? Is there enough time for that? The reason I ask is that in this case, at the regional district, I just did this last week and it was quite eventful. We were done at 9:04, I think, from 9 a.m. So if we in fact did that here, I could probably step up if it was possible to do that and be here and still go to the regional district meeting. So it's just asking that if we were stuck. You know, not sure who was mentioned to be here. Councillor Rowe, you? Because she was working. So I just wasn't sure if in fact could we do that is my process question.
I've scheduled it in. It's this important meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's in my calendar.
Other plans probably after that. Yeah, I'm just wondering if in fact, could we have adjusted it to 9 a.m. like we did regional district to make it work so that I would just step up as an example, because it wasn't a tough meeting I found, so, yeah. Anyway,
Okay,
process.
So we'll take that as a curiosity for now and.
Yeah, if anybody can let me
yeah.
know, I'm just future, I mean, be able to move things to just cover
Yeah.
each other, thanks.
Thanks. That was my backup if somebody didn't volunteer to suggest we move it. But anyways, we have a motion and I think for now we can vote on that if that suits everybody. All in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay, 5.3 is the Sechelt Public Library. And we can, something. Sorry, are you? No? Okay. Oh. So, yeah, that's right. Yes, well, thank you. So, Mr. Douglas, and again, I guess the same question, any late items to add to your report?
Nothing late to add, just the governments are starting to go through and approving or not approving, well, for this one anyway. And once we make our decision, we'll forward on that decision.
Councillor Toth.
Thank you. I guess through you to Director Douglas, given that the SCRD's already passed this and we're looking at it tonight, has the nation considered this already, and do we know what their direction was on it? Thank you.
Mr. Douglas?
Yeah, I don't have the answer for that.
Yeah, Councillor Shepherd, please.
Through the chair, sorry, just to clarify, the SCRDs approved the 7 okay, thank you.
So that's, yes, so that's the 365,000 probably of the total. Yeah. So, okay. Your microphone is on, Counselor Inkster. Did you have a question? No. Counselor Shepherd?
Sorry, just another question about the contract through to Director Douglas. So this is a 1-year contract. Is there an intention to sign longer term after this year?
I believe there is, yes.
Okay,
Yep. The intent was another 3-year, but the library has asked for a 1-year, just for a couple of reasons. They're going through negotiations and
Right.
so they want to get those out of the way before they enter into another longer term.
but the existing contract, has it expired? Is this, did it expire at the end of 2025?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Please, Counselor Tough.
Thank you. I'm going to move the recommendations on page 35 as they're presented in the agenda.
Terrific. Is there a seconder? Counselor Rowe? Any further questions? Counselor McLaughlin, please.
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. I notice on page 47 of 122, it says that the population for 2023 was based on the 2016 census. So I realize this year is whatever we're running with it, but hopefully moving forward, we can get some better data, because I think some of the RD areas might have grown quite a bit. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yes, so use the most current data available in future. Yeah. 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 Right? Mhm. Any other comments or questions? Not, I'll call a question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, we're motoring through. Council, we go to item 7.1, the minutes of the February 18th council meeting. Anybody got any concerns, modifications, corrections? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adopt. Thank you, Councillor Toth and Councillor Shepherd. All in favor? Carried. Anything arising from that? Just, nope. Okay. Terrific. Let's, we can then go to SCRD reports. My goodness. Only 7:15 and we'll go to Councillor Inkster. Well, he pointed at you.
Oh, you weren't looking, so. Oh, I gotta keep my head up, I guess, you know. Sports ended, council, it looks like, yeah. Just a couple of things, the regional district has put out that, directors have received. This obviously is not necessarily something that's big that we received, but I just wanted to let council know that there's public engagement on Let's Talk Trash, which council received some information on. Council's received some information on yesterday, I think, that on the landfill issues, and I'm glad that there's a continuous engagement with the District of Sechelt and other citizens in Sunshine Coast. As I've mentioned, and Chair Toth has mentioned, that there's hopefully going to be some changes at landfill, and it will cost some money. Also, too, this 10-year water strategy has been put out, so that's. Anybody wants to get a hold of a copy, I'm sure they could request one. I can obviously, anybody at council or staff wants this, I can obviously give it away to them. There was some long-term debt discussion at the regional district, what the future looks like in terms of debt. And obviously, right now, it's okay. But as we know, and we should know from Chair Toth and my reports, that there will be some additional debt in terms of water services, but also in terms of, like I said, the landfill. So I always ask the questions about what that looks like going forward and affordability. But those services need to be provided to our citizens. There was a hazard, risk, and vulnerability assessment final report given to the board, and it was quite a large document. So not sure if Chair Toth knows, but I had asked that it go to that report come to our council as well as our staff. So maybe staff received it already and our council will receive it soon. I'm not sure, but I think that's something we should also be receiving. And there'll also too, there's a couple other things happening: remuneration analysis at the regional district for elected officials, and the Ascension Coast Regional District Extreme Heat Plan, which they're talking about. So that's part of the regional focus on probably disaster mitigation and reaction. And so I'm glad they're part of that. And I'm assuming the District of Sechelt as a partner is part of that. And I also wanted to mention something that's a good news story. And it's one of those, why didn't we think of that earlier, or why didn't we have maybe a little more input earlier into the discussion, is that the community forest will be working with the regional district to provide 2 bridges in Cliff Gilker. And I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that our corporation is being a good neighbor and good partner on the Sunshine Coast. It was something that I wish we would have talked about 2 years ago. I've been quietly frustrated and or confused as to why all 4 bridges would go down in the regional district park, and so you wouldn't be able to cross the creek all at once. So it's very strange. I hope that the plan with that park, even though it's not within the District of Sechelt's function, I hope the plan going forward, there is more planning with that. I'm glad to see our partner stepping up. And I think that this council knows, and our staff who use that park, and if everybody in this park hasn't been to Cliff Gilker, they certainly need to get out more. Because it's a great park. So I'm glad to see we're stepping up to at least put 2 bridges in so that you can cross the creek on the lower half. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Councillor Toth, anything to add?
Thank you. Councillor Inkster got almost everything I had written down. The only other thing is that the board also asked that the community forest work with park staff to look at the zigzag bridge and if it's viable to replace that one as well, also in Cliff Gilker Park, to bring forward a budget proposal for 2027. So get these 2 going, get them done, because those are, that restores some connectivity in the park. And then look and see if we can replace, a 3rd one next year. So I think originally staff were only looking at the 2 just because of the sheer costs that were involved. But this partnership with the community forest has meant that $600,000 pretty much has been able to go back to the community works building fund, or the gas tax fund, to be used on other projects on the Sunshine Coast. So yeah, great news story. And looking forward to seeing them getting going. They're going to be milling the main timbers out of felled trees in the park itself. So going to be some excitement.
Yeah, it's nice, good news story.
And the regional district also approved the financial plan for 2026. I will circulate the numbers. The numbers that the Coast Reporter received as part of the news release are not an accurate telling of the picture. Because we've mentioned this before, the change in parcel tax to ad valorem for recreation capital funding is only on improvements, not on the entire value of the property. And the way the press release reads, it unfortunately indicates that it's on the entire value of the property. So for the average home in the District of Sechelt, they will see a decrease in SCRD taxation, but that's not the way the press release reads at the moment. So yeah, I'll circulate the table though.
When do you leave your button on and morph into your council report? And then we'll go this way
Sure.
up to Councillor Bell, who's on the screen, and then come back from Councillor Shepherd.
The only thing I think I really want to report on for council, I attended a wildfire risk reduction block tour with the community forest. I think there was almost 20 of us that were there. And as a, member of council representing community, I was by far the least qualified person in the group. So there's a lot of professionals, industry experts, people that are from other community forests that are looking at doing wildfire risk reduction. And so we actually got to tour 3 blocks that are being worked on for wildfire risk reduction. And each one is getting a slightly different treatment. And so Warren and Sarah talked about the treatments that are being done and what the blocks are going to look like. And there was a lot of grant funding that came forward to do this work. There's more to do. There's so much more to do than the grant funding can cover, but it is good news. I encourage them to send out an invitation to council to do a similar sort of tour. And I think that's tentatively scheduled for March 18th. So council and the regional district board are going to be invited on a similar tour to look at the wildfire risk reduction blocks. That's really all I have to
Yep.
report. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you. I think further to that, I think I was reading in the paper that some neighborhoods in the region, Lower Coast here have been named as fire smart neighborhoods. And Sandy Hook, I believe, is the one in Seashell that has got that. So that's great. Hopefully we can work on more of them. I attended on last Friday, the Rockwood 90th birthday open house and did some cake cutting and eating. And at the same time, there was an open house for the OCP being shown there. So it was nice to have also a tour of the building. I didn't realize that upstairs there were some rooms that used to be a boarding house at one point. So I thought, well, where's the bedrooms? Where's the bathroom? And so there it was. So, and to get through to see the basement, the nice facility space down there is kind of an opener. So it's looking pretty good. Not to mention the color is very fashionable of the exterior. Green is in this year. So I'm happy about all that. And then on Saturday, I attended the Women in Politics meeting along with other female counselors and directors from the SCRD at Davis Bay Hall. It was well attended, very intense and fulfilling meeting. We probably could have stayed there for 3 days and talked, but we had a good afternoon. So that was good. Thanks.
Very good, thank you. Councillor Rowe.
Not related to council or even my other hat, but I just want to share a project I'm working on in case anyone gets any questions. I don't know if any of you follow Todd Maffin from Nanaimo. Him and his wife are the folks that invited a bunch of Americans to Nanaimo last year to become friendly. And he has started this movement of communities setting up what he's calls healthcare infusion, that people that want to move to Canada and come work in your community can engage with. It's not through VCH, it's more about what it's like to live in the community, what's it like to be Canadian, all that sort of stuff. So I've been working on this for probably about 3 weeks, probably a couple more weeks before it's ready to launch, but we will have our own healthcare infusion site. We have actually been successful outside of this, but just for knowledge, we have actually hired some nurses from the US, and let me tell you, you've never seen anybody happier to have a job than one of those nurses. It's really quite fascinating to hear their stories of what it's like to practice down there, where they've now made nursing not a profession under their classification. Anyways, I'll get on that soapbox. I also attended the Women's Campaign School on the weekend, which was a great day. I really enjoyed it. People there really interestingly from every electoral area, Town of Gibson's and Sechelt. It was really interesting how that all fell into place. So it was a good day. It did make me think, though, as I was speaking on the panel, that although I've said I have said, as you know, long ago as a couple years ago at the community safety thing, that I'm not running for re-election. I have not said it officially. So on March 4th, today is I am not running again. I have submitted sort of a letter to the editor that'll go in the paper next week. But as I was sitting there thinking of people interested in running, it's sort of good to get that conversation out there. Love to meet for coffee with anyone that has any questions about running or the experience or all of the above. So that was a good day. That's all I got. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Councillor Bell.
Yes, good evening, everyone. It's been a busy few weeks for meetings. I'm going to highlight 3 of them. The Sunshine Coast Joint Council meeting I attended, and there will be minutes forthcoming. It is a good, it's a focus on the childcare of the school district, a number of childcare initiatives, not specifically relating to the issue, but some of the work that's being done around current childcare training and initiatives. The other one that I attended was the YMCA Childcare Sunshine Coast Working Group, and I think there is some positive news that came out of that. One, the YMCA Foundation is funding $5 million for ECI IT certificate training cohort. So I think that's very positive, and there'll be more forthcoming on that. The new childcare space build at Madeira Park is progressing with the permitting, and there has been 77 families that have now have childcare spaces. We still have the challenge with the 1 to 3, and that's still being aggressively recruited for, but I think we had some good news coming from that. And again, minutes will be forthcoming on that. Sunshine Coast Affordable Housing Society meeting. They're doing a phase approach for the Building Together Communities building. The first phase will be the move-in of the food bank, which will be in October or November. And I attended the candidates meeting as well. Both Councillor McLaughlin and Councillor Rowe have spoken about it, and it was a very good day. And interesting to see the cross-section of people there and why they were there. And finally, I attended a Housing Corporations and Rural Solutions Expanding Access to Housing webinar for AVIC, long, two and a half hours, I believe, but a lot of interesting information coming out around housing authorities and some of the initiatives that small communities are looking at and how to address affordable housing. So that has been recorded and will be forthcoming. So that's it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor Bell. Councillor Shepherd. Nothing this week. Councillor Inkster.
Oh, Councillor Shepherd, you need to get busy, I think. Right? Yeah. Just a couple of things. It's not clear. I think when Councillor Toth talked about treatment earlier, just a reminder that the conference we went to a couple of years ago, treatment is a lot of times getting rid of slash. It confuses people. Is it fire retardant? But a lot of time it's getting rid of slash, cutting out trees that tend to catch on fire quicker. Some of them monoculture that we're talking about, and creating sort of fire breaks, i.e. less trees in those areas. So that's kind of what treatment is. It'll be interesting to see what they're doing in a couple of weeks. And wishing Councillor Rowe luck with getting doctors. I think they should be telling that we are the greatest, we're the best, most wonderful country. That's what they should be saying. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, well, we've talked about Rockwood House. I just add Rockwood's looking good for 90. Obviously too, in Sechelt, years ending in 6 are big. I've mentioned to council and staff that the district turns 40 this year. And so I'm hoping that we can have a celebration on June 30th to mark the 40th anniversary. Also, the village was founded 70 years ago in 1956. So, and I think if my arithmetic is right, Rockwood was built in 1936. Enjoyed the Olympics gold medal game at the restaurant, although getting up at 5 a.m. wasn't fun, and it was amusing to watch people having pulled pork sandwiches at 6 in the morning. I did not indulge. Last week, I had the pleasure of going to the Hong Kong Canada Business Association Lunar New Year banquet and spending some time with Mayor Ken Sim and Mayor Mike Hurley. It was good to connect with them again. And I guess last night, the APC at their first meeting of the new group with some returning people and some new people. And it was good to see the orientation, and well done to staff for that. I also think we've thanked, but again, thank you to those who termed out or retired for all they put in. Just wanted to add on Friday, I will be meeting with the Minister of Immigration with some of the Keep Families Together Sunshine Coast group. We've been invited by MP Weiler to join them and express some of the things that are factors for both the employees who will be there and the employers. Because we really, you've heard me and I won't go on at length, but we really are facing a dire situation for many, many employers, and of course for the employees that are having to suffer, not sure if they're going to be allowed to stay in Canada. So I think those are the things that I would highlight for today. Council, so without further ado, we can go to the item 10.1, which is the Sunshine Coast Regional District Hospital District Committee and the letter to the province regarding long-term care. It's before us for consideration, and I'm curious if anybody has some thoughts on this. Okay, I mean, I just want to emphasize and perhaps update. I note this letter was written on January 21st. There was a meeting of local government officials. I think Director McMahon was there, and school district Maria Hampfant, Mayor White, myself, and the MLA Randine Neal. And we were told at that meeting since the January 21st that Shorncliffe is essentially destroyed. So it's, the letter here is talking about, could we please tune it up, fix it up, put a coat of paint and open it again. And what we heard in that meeting was quite the opposite, that unfortunately it appears to be been damaged and destroyed and so on. So we all know this is not going to get any better until we take some dramatic action. And I think that's what we got to focus on. I have real concerns because we all know the province, their financial situation is not good. To anticipate we're going to see lots of money out to fund this sort of thing is unrealistic in my view. And that burdens us with taking a role in figuring out how do we provide for the people that are in need of this sort of service. It is not in our wheelhouse, but it is in terms of taking care of our community, something that I think we need to really turn our attention to. So that's, and I wanted to compliment, of course, the Cover the Coast report is really good, very good to have data. It unfortunately highlights the terrible situation we're in. So I think I'll leave it at that, Councillor Toth.
Thank
Please.
you. Yeah, but I also appreciate that report because the amount of data that's in there I think really arms us, and I think it really arms the community when we're talking to our MLA, when we're talking to ministers, when we're, advocating at UBCM. I think the data just speaks for itself, and I'm hoping it'll help, really drive home the needs. Really unfortunate about Shorncliffe. I wasn't at that meeting. I don't know what the scale of the damage and problems are there, but whatever VCH is going to move forward on, if, when, however they move forward on, we can expect that they will probably be coming to the regional hospital district, looking for some funding, because the RHD model has cost share. So between VCH and the regional hospital district. So whenever they do something, there is going to be a hit to our local tax base to help fund that work when it comes forward. Thanks.
Yeah, that's where I was picking up that I fear that it won't be, the cost sharing might be even more against us, if you will, than it would normally be. Yeah, this is a big issue, and of course, a lot of this report and this letter focus on the infrastructure, but of course, to open a facility like this, we need staff, and we're having struggles to get nurses and other care aides and professionals. So this is a real burden. So yes, Councillor Inkster.
Yeah, the letter's in front of us. There's an endorsement request, but I'm wondering what you're speaking to. Are we endorsing it, and what else are you saying when you identify this issue? What should we do additionally then when you speak to? I mean, obviously, this council is well aware of. I mean, I've heard from some community members, and obviously some members of council are. A couple of other members of council are really close to the issue. So, what do we do? I'm really surprised from what I've been hearing, and there's rumor, but what I've been hearing consistently is more in the last number of months, is Shorncliffe has taken some damage. And I would like to know what that means. You obviously heard more at the meeting. What I've heard is that some of the plumbing has been torn apart and things like that. My concern is if the roof is an issue, then that, but who would go after the roof unless the roof is need of repair? Obviously, the guts of the building would be in some form of shape. So we have been hearing that totem's going to happen, and there's a commitment to do that. That's out in the community, and that was needed, and that was obviously a reaction to the need to move forward with that very quickly. So what do we do next? Do we somehow find out what's actually going on with Shorncliffe, if in fact we go down that road of talking about Shorncliffe, because we do need a number of beds and we do need the funding for those beds? Will we hear anything more, or just be continuous? We can't say anything. We don't know. We don't have the funding, because we've been receiving the figures comparing the Sunshine Coast to other areas in terms of not enough beds, proportionally and or per capita. But we've also been hearing stories more recently, and once again, how many of those there are, though, once again, heard from community members of already community members older having to leave our community to get care in many cases in the last years of their life. So what do we do? What's the truth? What can we do about it moving forward? Is Shorncliffe available? I did say a number of months ago that if we talked to Randine Neal, MLA Neal, and said, and asked her to invite Minister Osborne over here, that Minister Osborne would come if sort of the protocol is, and I did mention that from last ABICC last year, that if she came, if MLA Neal asked Minister Osborne to come and to actually be here and tour not only the existing facilities, but what's been happening to ones that are maybe could have been used, maybe we can get some movement. It would be interesting to hear if other areas are if other areas are meeting their long-term care bed commitment, how are they doing that and how are we not? So there's what are the success stories? What are the best practices? What do we do about the Sunshine Coast?
Okay, thanks. I'll offer some comments in response. First of all, this is provincial-wide based on the Seniors Care Advocate report. I don't want to go too far in representing what VCH management were telling us, but it is, Shorncliffe is not, as I said, not a coat of paint and fixing a few pipes. If it can be fixed, it is a very, very major capital cost. So what are the solutions? I agree with you. We need solutions. And tonight, I wanted to express, I guess, put this on the table for all of us to think about, but I didn't come ready with a motion or a resolution at this point. Councillor McLaughlin, please.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I have a bit of a background in demographics as well, and I'm not gonna, all I know is by the time I get to be that old, the lion's share of the baby boomers will have already, gone through, and I'll follow them, and whatever's left, that's what I'll get. So I wasn't planning on getting much, but I was also noticing that there's a new model that the long-term care homes are taking, which is the small care homes. And so I recall, I think about almost 30 years ago, they were setting up small care homes in communities across BC, and people were setting them up, but Brenda might know more about that. I don't think that was a successful model at that time, and I knew somebody that was in it, and it was hard to get going in terms of staffing, in terms of funding. But I think for us here, I think the small care homes might be a way to go, because we have quite a few older homes, we have larger homes, and I think we could lobby for that, because I don't want to wait till they get round to a rural area like ours to finally come up with some solution. I think we need to think, well, what is really practical here that could be done quite quickly, and to at least get something accomplished and have a model. I think that model would work quite well here, especially in the village area where it's walkable and there's amenities to go to and programs to go to close to the hospital, et cetera. And I have talked to a lot of seniors at the seniors center and also at the rec center. And it seems to me a lot of them are in their homes. There are spouses looking after their spouses, but they feel trapped in their homes at some point because they want to downsize, they want to get close to amenities, they want to get, to a point where they can have a smaller unit and a place to be more convenient in the village area to live their remaining number of years while they're looking after their spouse. I mean, a lot of them do want to stay and take care of their spouses, but the housework, everything, it's just all too much, especially if, unfortunately, I hate to say, if it's a man looking after his wife who's got dementia, like it's tough, right? So I think that the amount of housing we have that are smaller units, I think there will be quite an uptick in elderly people wanting to get into those units. Well, that's what I hear. They're waiting for them.
Great.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Rowe, please.
Okay, so the answer really is all of the above. And part of the issue is any 6 people or 7 people that are sitting here don't know enough about the situation or, what it all entails and all of that to really decide what is best, in my humble opinion. So that makes it a challenge. What we do know as time has moved on, that we need lots of different kind of housing for seniors. It's not just about, there are people taking up long-term care beds that are there because that's all we have, right? So we need something like dementia housing, for instance, where you don't need all the care levels built in, but you're keeping people safe and, meals provided and that sort of thing. So I think listening to the likes of Cover the Coast, that's great, fabulous information to have, because she talks about all kinds of different housing. I want to sort of crack the facade, though, that the hospital is backed up with long-term care clients. Sure, there's a ton there. As Joe Blow Public, and not an employee, I will say that the Sunshine Coast has always been underfunded per capita in my entire healthcare history for long-term care beds. And if funding was tied to your population for that resource, which I think it should be, we would have no problem, as we know, because we are number 3 in Canada in communities over 10,000 people for people who are over 65. So that's my girl math that I think would eat into the problem. Problem is now, as you know, I think a long-term care bed is about 1.6 million. So that's why they're looking at these small care homes, they're calling them. I do want to also say that people who wait list for long-term care always have the choice to go off coast. Nobody is forced to go off coast. So if anyone's hearing that, I'd be interested in knowing what that scenario is, because I'm essentially married to that wait list and I haven't seen that happen. So what I'm wondering is, in your meeting that you had, what was the discussion around totem? Was there anything positive? A nugget?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Councillor Bell was there representing MP Weiler, so you could perhaps help me. But my recollection was that, and I think whatever, it was not a closed meeting, confidential, but the iteration now is that they will have Totem take more long-term care, and they'll put the mental health on 2 South.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting because it gets, whatever it takes to get Totem open, obviously adds beds for somebody. So I suppose that's a little bit of good news.
I think,
Yeah, please.
oh, sorry. The other that I don't want to lose sight on is that we have a hospice coming. And that's really good news for this community, and that's 8 beds, which also provides, every bed counts, like it's not a lot, but it's something. So I just don't want to lose sight of, although everything feels dire, there is a lot of communities got like long-term care, everything is on hold. I think they were planning small care homes elsewhere that have been put on hold with the last budget too. So
Mhm.
it's a tough go.
Right. Okay, I think we could discuss this, and we need to, but perhaps we can find a way over the next few weeks to structure it a bit to contribute to this. For the moment, I suppose, in what do we do with this letter? One is, of course, we've received it, but I note the last sentence of the letter asked for a prompt response from the 2 ministers, and perhaps you would support whatever, me writing a letter to the ministers, copying this letter and saying, when can we expect to hear from them? Oh, Councillor Bell, thank you.
Sorry, yes, Mary Henderson, I was, and Council, I was at the meeting with my other hat on, and I'm just, will say that one of the things that I did was reach out to operations after the meeting to ask the question, what information can be shared from this meeting? Because it's extremely important to let the community know what's happening with Totem and Shorncliffe. There is a lot of discussion, there's a lot of angst around it. And so I was told at the time that something was coming. I haven't seen anything as yet. And hopefully, I think I'll do a poke and see if there is a timeline on that. But essentially, I think, Mary Henderson, you spoke briefly about it, that Totem, the idea is to expand it to 12 beds and have 2 beds for withdrawal management. So they go from 6 beds to 14. And then let's just see, I think rather than getting into the details, it really increases beds from 13 to 36. And so there is some positive things coming. I guess the biggest thing is it will be around the mental health issue. The details are coming. The good news on this, I suppose, is going to be a lot less time in terms of, and dollars in terms to transition to this model. You're absolutely right on about Shorncliffe. Unfortunately, the news wasn't good. There's apparently the elevator for one is completely will not be able to be replaced. It's so old that there's no parts that could go to the second floor. So if anything was we were able to do anything, it would only be on the main floor that could possibly be any kind of a usable space. But again, the dollars that were thrown around were significant. One of the questions that was asked was, we need to take care of our assets. And so what does this mean in terms of, you're right, Councillor Inkster, the roof, those kind of things. I mean, those are the things that start to deteriorate. So I think that's the question is, yes, Shorncliffe is in this state, but at the same time, what are we going to do during this transition or this time to try and negate it getting worse? So I think there are definitely some questions that need to be obviously answered, and hopefully VCH, this is definitely well on their radar. They talked a lot about dollars, and it's incredible the amount of money that it costs now to upgrade these facilities. So not great news, but I do hope they send out something very soon, because we all need to know. And as you say, it's a desperate issue in terms of, the future of the coast. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Inkster, please.
So a couple of things here. So we were going to, I believe, endorse this letter, I'm assuming. Receive whatever the request was. And then you had indicated that you would like a seconder to write a letter, I'm assuming from mayor and council. But I wasn't clear what you were going to ask for an update on some of these things. I wasn't clear what you had said at the end, because I'm certainly willing, as a council, like a number of other pressing issues for us, to write letters to ministers to have them either come and speak to us, send us substantive letters, not just, we've received your letter, thank you, because that's what we often receive, but substantive letters of discussion.
Okay, so on
Yeah.
page 76, 76 in the last sentence, I'm simply trying to offer one small piece, which echoes a bit of what you're saying, that somehow we get a letter sent now because the last sentence requests a prompt response, and that letter's been 6-7 weeks ago. So I'd like to hear from them. What are they planning to do, and when can we plan to hear from them? Councillor Shepherd.
Can I suggest that we just ask Mayor White if he's had a response from them, or if he has any meetings planned with them before we start sending off letters? Thanks.
Okay, does anybody, you two would be, go ahead, are you getting live information, live updates?
Pretty much. Mayor White, Chair of the Regional Hospital District, he mentioned to me that he's going to follow up tomorrow. So,
Okay,
there's
So-
your live update.
all right, good. So he will take care of following up with the ministers. Okay, in which case let's just receive this and keep it on our own radars. If you've got some ideas to bring back to council, let's do that. And let's treat it with the seriousness that it is. So I guess we don't normally have motions to receive, so we'll just take that as given. And thought there was a shake of a no, Councillor Rowe, but okay, with your indulgence, then we'll take that as read, and we'll go to item 10.2. And this is the letter from the Chamber of Commerce and Council. How what would you like to do with this? Please, Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, I'd actually like to make a motion that the information be received, and we ask staff to evaluate the report and come back with recommendations on what's already being done, what any of the suggestion initiatives are worth pursuing, so to get a further update on what perhaps we could adopt or undertake.
So that's a motion. Okay, is there a seconder for that? Seconded, thank you. So discussion? Does that work for staff? Yeah, please.
I just think this looks like, what do we want them to not do? Looks like a ton of work to me. Just considering the work plan.
Okay, please, Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, through the chair. I'm not sure it is a ton of work. I mean, it's really zeroing in on sort of four areas. Are there any further bylaws that we should adopt? And the originator of the report actually already suggested a few. So it's really staff just taking a look at them and saying, yes, this is worth pursuing. No, it's not. There's communication, some ideas. There's contact with the community, which, I think through the work of the technical committee and before that, the community safety committee, a lot of that's already being done. And then there's a point person, and council's already approved a coordinator position. So I think once it's reviewed, I think there are areas that where staff will be able to say, look, all of this is being done already. But because community safety is such an important issue, and it's going to continue to be, I think it's really well worthwhile. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Inkster?
Yeah, this information that was received by a committee connected to council is, I've heard some information from it from council members, and sort of the elephant in the room. What do we do with that information that was provided at that table? And I'm sure staff who was present at that table has looked at some of the information. So if in fact we can take this motion and spin it to staff to take a closer look at it, and we give them a manageable date to come back with this information, what's the expectation of those that would encourage it, or would like us to look at it? Is the expectation that the district, and we don't know, but sometimes the clarity is always helpful, is the expectation that the district creates a number of bylaws? Is the expectation that the district creates a number of programs? Is the expectation that the district spends more money on crime control in the hundreds of thousands of dollars? And I'm not being dramatic. I'm just talking about expectations and what people think that we may need to do in the District of Sechelt to deal with some of the issues that are happening throughout BC and towns and cities. So what's the expectation of what wants to come? If staff comes back and says, we've looked at this is difficult to do, this is difficult to do, what do we then do with that? Do we push and say, no, that's not true, or do we accept that information from staff? Because we're obviously creating a recommendation that I'm prepared to support to glean some more reaction to that particular report that is the elephant in the room. But what can we do as a district? It's like the VORR thing with Porpoise Bay. What can we do as a district? What are we capable of doing? And that's in reference to derelict vessels and such. So that's my concern, is if we get staff to look at this, because there's an expectation by some that we should at least do that. What is their expectation of the result? And do we And does council and the district paint themselves into a corner of results and expectation? So I would like to see us give staff some time to do this and take a good look at it. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. I mean, I think I'll go to Councillor Shepherd, but for me, what you've just said, some of that is sort of like asking the hypothetical. We need the report before we can discuss whether we, as we always do with the reports, whether we challenge it, whether we accept it, whether we modify it. So I think getting a response to this, to me, makes sense. This is apparently a qualified person. I mean, I do know her, as council knows, but I didn't have a hand in this audit. But, you know, I think it makes sense to take what's been provided and work with it. Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, through the chair, I'd say if it helps, ask that we modify the motion to ask staff to come back with the report on this audit within a month with an analysis of the recommendations. And, you know, to Councillor Inkster's comment, I mean, this is the job of council. When we're faced with challenges like community safety, and we've been given some suggestions from community groups, I think that's our role. We send it to staff to analyze. They come back with suggestions, and we may discount some, we may adopt some, but that's our job in order to address the issue.
Okay, straight. Just a sec, I want to make sure. Okay, please.
Yeah, I hope a month is enough. One of the issues is that staff has looked at this. Do we know when we bring these forward and there's a sense that we may say yes to this, have we talked to staff previously on the work that's been previously done and their ideas about the information contained in a report? Gets, you know, once again, it may put people in a corner. I'm certainly prepared to look at this, but we need to, if the previous report and or some of the audit pieces has, you know, because council members were there. I was not. I'm busy with other things that council has given me to do, but on the safety issue, there's a number of council members that have been involved, and good for them because it's an important issue. But if in fact in that report and some of the suggestions, was there suggestion in there, or is there assumptions that we aren't doing enough or our staff aren't doing enough? That's what I'm trying to make sure that we as a council, we are looking for information, but we're not endorsing a number of ideas that may not be in our best political interests. That's all I'm looking for. I want to get to the bottom of a number of these issues, including a couple of months ago when I said that the community was uncomfortable with the housing proposal. That's where you're starting to get to the bottom of issues. That's what's important to me. Thanks.
Okay, I don't, tonight we're here just debating and discussing what to do with this report. I don't think it's fair at this moment to turn to staff and say, what have you done with it? What do you think you want to do with it? That's why they need the time to write the report. You said something about the previous report, and I wanted to clarify. What are you referencing when you say the previous report?
Well, the only report that I know of is the presentation to the safety committee, and that would be the report I would be referring to. There's no previous report, and if I said that, then I've only confused you, because that's actually what I meant. Yeah.
Okay, so that was like what the? Oh, just please help me.
Yeah, it originally came forth in December.
This.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, no, we're not endorsing, you know, tonight by, if everyone, I'm hoping, votes for this motion, we're not endorsing everything in the report. All we're doing is asking staff to review it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Please, Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair. I think I would support the idea of a preliminary review. because we, of course, we want some feedback on it. But when I look at, and think about community safety, I see it as one of those soft services that we could provide. And when we make choices to do issues relating, you know, projects, whatever, spend money relating to safety, there's a trade-off and other things that we can't do. And we're starting a community services plan, and I'm sure it'll have things like parks and culture, but it should also have other services like fire, police. What is the level of service that we have, and what do we want? And then if we link in safety and well-being, and now, you know, we talk a lot about healthcare, we talk a lot about daycare, but we can't be all things to all people, right? We have to focus on what our core is, what our strategic plan is, and have it within a context of these other services, I think. So hopefully, we are having a meeting on the community services plan coming up. We haven't even talked about it yet, but my idea of policy and determining levels of service, and then what facilities and what programs we need to maintain the kind of culture and the kind of flavor of this place without adopting all of the hard-nosed approaches that might be potentially part of a solution from all sorts of places. I think that's a dangerous route to go, and it's like building another silo. And I would rather see us have a more integrated approach, because anything we do is going to affect the police, right? It's going to affect community services. Lindsay, who's heading up the organization now. So I think it's important to give us a chance to build it into the plan and evaluate what the priorities are, because we can't afford to do everything we'd like. And we can't afford to take on too much of a thing, which we've all said is not really our responsibility. It should be the province that should be focusing on safety, at least giving us some funding for. So I think if we at least analyze it that way, if we do need funding, we can at least make a better case for how it works for our community. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Bell?
Yes, I recognize there's a motion on the table. However, I don't know what I actually want to. I want to put another motion. I don't know quite how to do this. Maybe I'll just speak to this. I think that this should go through the technical working group, and the lead on this is Director Roberts, and that's to proceed with her direction in terms of first the review of the report and what timelines and direction she wants to take on this.
Okay, thank you. For the moment, as you say, there's a motion before us, so we'll take that as comments in response to the motion. Councillor Toth, did you have something? I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate you calling on me here. I'm supportive of sort of staff taking the light pass touch on this. I mean, I've made a couple highlights in the document. There's some things that I don't know that we have the ability to control, like making bylaw complaints anonymous. I'm not sure legislatively we could even do that if we wanted to. So I think it's some of that stuff that staff should be able to just quickly give us back answers on, you know, create a form of restorative justice. Well, we already have restorative justice on the Sunshine Coast. I met with them a number of months ago, and we talked a little bit about what's going on around town, and they'd love to be more involved. So we don't have to create a system, because there's already a system here. When we talk about communications, you know, empower all businesses and local residents with reporting process knowledge. I mean, there's an irony here that this letter is coming from the chamber, because I think they're perfectly suited to help us with that, along with the Downtown Business Association, along with our community associations. So I think I'm good with staff taking a light pass, but like, this is going to be an all, you know, if there are things that we want to enforce or enact within this, it's going to have to be an all community effort. We can't dictate to the chamber to empower businesses, but I think it would be important for them to bring that to the table. Well, just my thoughts. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think I'll call the question on the motion. That's all right.
Just a clarification though, again, because what's the date of return?
In a month.
A month.
Is what Counselor Shepherd was saying.
Okay, well, we, you know.
So that's the motion.
Yeah,
so-
we don't have, you know, once again, we don't have staff when they can do it, like maybe the 15th or of April or the month. and that works. All I've been saying is that enough?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the motion is to report back in a month, which, given our schedule for council meetings, would be plus or minus a few days probably. Yeah. Okay, we'll call a question. All in favor? Opposed? I didn't opposed. Counselor Bell, you're opposed? Thank you. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, everybody. I think that brings us to the end of the agenda. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Seconded, all in favor. We are adjourned. So now we can turn to questions and